We're going to start with our special guests right now, and our first one is indeed very special, former Premier and now Chair of Basketball Australia. Please give a very warm welcome to Kristina Keneally. Kristina, you've recently been appointed to this position of Chair of Basketball Australia. How did that come about?
Well, they approached me. It was an approach by the board of Basketball Australia, and I'd like to thank them for that. It's been an amazing opportunity. It was something I played basketball growing up. I played it in high school, coached it when I was a school teacher, loved the sport, and the opportunity to come on board as the chair was just too good to pass up.
Well, the part of the world that you grew up in, basketball is a major force. Can you tell us what challenges you're facing here, particularly with respect to women's basketball?
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is that we as a nation punch so far above our weight. We are ranked equal second in the world right now in women's basketball. And yeah, let's give that a round of applause. And arguably, and I don't think it's arguable, but arguably the top two female basketball players in the world are Australian. We have a remarkable ranking internationally by FIBA, the federated body. We're ranked now 5th in the world as a nation overall. Our men are ranked 9th. All respect to other codes aside, I reckon there's a few codes of sport that would love to have their women and their men both in the top 10, but particularly their women performing as exceptionally well as ours do on the world stage. And so the challenge for us, I think, first of all, is to get that message out there to the public in a more, forgive me, but in a more bolshy, upfront way. You know, how good are our women, and how good have they historically been, and what a success story basketball is. You know, I'm going to acknowledge right up front that the NBL a few years ago has faced some challenges, particularly some financial challenges. And people often say to me, "Oh, basketball, you've taken on that job." Basketball. If they don't know anything about basketball, all they remember is that some of the NBL clubs had some challenges a few years ago. And I say, well, hang on a minute. We are, all those statistics I've just rattled off in terms of our international ranking, viewership is up across the NBL and the WNBL. Bums on seats, eyes watching the sport. There's a great story to tell here, and let's start celebrating basketball as truly an Australian sport and an Australian success story.
Indeed, and of course with the men and the women off to the Olympics, we're hoping that they enjoy every success over in London as well. Let's talk on a more general level now. How about for women's sport in the overall picture? How do you see that developing over, say, the next 10 years?
Well, I haven't discussed this with my CEO or board, but one of the things that always has rankled me as a person I played soccer at university, I played basketball growing up, is just that term, women's sport. Why is there sport and women's sport? And why do we have the WNBL and just the NBL? Why is one marked as different? Maybe we should call it the MNBL for the men. And it might sound like a flippant comment, but it does instantly set up that somehow we are a subsidiary or a second thought. And I think, again, if you look at the success of some of the individual athletes that the minister pointed out in her speech, the success of some of our teams, both at Olympic and international level, and the fact that the WNBL here is one of the best respected women's professional competitions. It's right up there around the world, and it's producing some of the best players. That celebration of sport, whether it's played by men or women, it's sport, and it's sporting excellence, and it should be celebrated.
Well, when we talk about the promotion of women's sport, and we talk about how we need to raise the profile. Obviously, getting more media coverage is one of the stepping stones. And of course, ABC is very proud to broadcast women's sport, but we're actually having this conversation at our table at the moment. We have a match of the round for our basketball and our football codes. And is that the next step, do you think, actually getting an entire league televised and so on?
Well, for our sport, basketball, the challenge is always about competing for what is a very crowded sports space. And, the great benefit for sport, whether played by men or women, is that Australians love sport and they love to watch it, and there's a natural inclination to enjoy it. But the challenge is that it's a very crowded space and getting that precious media time. But I think the thing that all sport, men and women's, major sport and sport that perhaps has a more niche market, and I would say basketball is one of the major sports, but across all sport, whether you're talking hockey or lawn bowls or AFL or any of those, the great frontier is digital content. The fact that people are increasingly going to be watching sport on their iPhone, their iPad, their tablet, their BlackBerry, whatever it is. And recent court decisions seem to be trending to make that quite a lot easier for people to broadcast that digital content. So sporting bodies having the ability to control and broadcast their sports in the digital world and the opportunity to make it more widely available, I think is a great, the media landscape's going to change in the next decade. There is no doubt it's already changing, and there's a great opportunity there for us.
Your excitement, your enthusiasm for your role is palpable. You sound like you're absolutely loving it. We've heard about your vision. Tell us, as you wrap up, how you're going to achieve it.
Well, first of all, can I thank, as you know, the Minister mentioned her passion for women's sport, and I think we've got a great advocate and champion at the federal government level in Kate Lundy, and it's terrific to have a woman I know you're not the first woman to take on that role, but it's great to have such a committed and enthusiastic woman in that role. I also want to thank the board of Basketball Australia for putting a woman in the position of chair, and now the second woman who's held that position. Again, it's about getting, as Kate pointed out, as the Minister pointed out, having a wide range of people contributing to that. I think we too need to celebrate our heroes a bit better than we have. I mean, a lot of Australians can rattle off the names of Cathy Freeman and Liz Ellis and Betty Cuthbert and Dawn Fraser, but I'd like to see, you know, the bedrooms of our of Year 7 girls adorned with the likes of Liz Cambridge and Lauren Jackson and Penny Taylor. And so part of our challenge is to celebrate our heroes. Part of our challenge is to find new and innovative ways to shove our athletes and our sport in front of people so they see it and they understand it and they get excited about it. Of course, looking to the Olympics, there's some great opportunities there. We Australians get every 4 years incredibly enthusiastic and knowledgeable about sports we knew nothing about, and that's a great teaching moment for every sport as we go into the Olympics.
Kristina Keneally, get the posters printed, and we'll make sure that all these people in this room put them up. Thank you very much for your time, and all the best in your role.
Thank you very much.